I have called you before, Mother, but you were always busy or isolated. I have something particular to say.
What is it, dearest boy? Be quick. Why could you not send it by pneumatic post?
Because I prefer saying such a thing, I want.
Well,
I want you to come and see me.
but I can see you. What more do you want?
I want to see you not through the machine. I want to speak to you not through the worrisome machine.
Oh, hush. You mustn't say anything against the machine.
Why not?
One mustn't.
You talk as if a god has made the machine. I believe that you pray to it when you are unhappy. Men made it. Do not forget that. Great men, but men. The machine is much, but it is not everything. I see something like you in the plate, but I do not see you. I hear something like you through this telephone, but I do not hear you. That is why I want to come. Pay me a visit, so that we can meet face to face and talk about the hopes that are in my mind. The airship barely takes 2 days to fly between me and you.
I dislike airships.
Why?
I dislike seeing the horrible brown earth and the sea and the stars when it's dark. I get no ideas in an airship.
I do not get them anywhere else.
What kind of ideas can the air give you?
Do you not know 4 big stars that form an oblong, and 3 stars close together in the middle of the oblong, and hanging from these stars the 3 other stars?
No, I do not. I dislike the stars, but they give you an idea? How interesting. Tell me.
I had an idea that they were like a man.
I do not understand.
The 4 big stars are the man's shoulders and knees. The 3 stars in the middle are like the belt the man wore, and the 3 stars hanging are like the sword.
A sword?
Men carried swords about with them to kill animals and other men.
It does not strike me as a very good idea, but it is certainly original. When did it come to you first?
In the airship. The truth is that I want to see the stars again. They are curious stars. I want to see them not from the airship, but from the surface of the earth, as their ancestors did thousands of years ago. I want to visit the surface of the earth. Mother, you must come, if only to explain to me what is the harm of visiting the surface of the earth.
No harm, but no advantage. The surface of the earth is only dust and mud. No advantage. The surface of the earth is only dust and mud. No life remains on it, and you would need a respirator, or the cold of the outer air will kill you. One dies immediately in the outer air.
I know, of course I shall take all precautions. And besides,
Well, it is contrary to the spirit of the age.
do you mean by that contrary to the machine?
In a sense, but Kuno! Water. Hello, sir. What would you like today?
I want 2 bips and geef eaters.
2 Bips and GIF eaters?
You know damned well what I want. I want 2 beefeater Gibsons and make it snappy. Things have changed in jolly old England. At least that's what the Duke tells me.
Sir, this isn't England.
Be quiet and do as you're told.
Sir, this table is now reserved.
Reserved? I want another table.
I'm sorry, sir. All the tables are reserved.
Fine, Charlie. Come on.
How are you doing today, Mr. Gatsby?
I'm fine, Alfred. Under no circumstances is the open car to be taken out. Understood?
Of course.
Oh, by the way, go to the garage and grab the mattress and meet me by the pool.
Of course.
Okay.
Here you go, sir.
Thank you.
Do you need any help today?
No, Alfred, you're dismissed.
Okay. Gatsby, sir!
You're being accused of murder.
What murder?
The white man's music box was murdered.
Music box? That music box was taking me away from my lover. That music box was a terrible thing. He constantly played it at night, and I just couldn't sleep. I thought the only thing that was necessary was destroying the putrid thing. Lover, and I just thought it was reasonable for me to just get rid of it.
But now the white man has left you. You are all alone, and you have no man.
So what? That terrible noise coming from it was bad anyways. I don't know why any of you liked it.
I have never been a sportsman, or rather, I have been a sportsman only once, and that was the first and last time. I was a child, and one day, for some reason or other, I found myself together with my father, who was holding a gun in his hand, behind a bush, watching a bird that had perched on a branch not very far away. It was a large gray bird, or perhaps it was brown, with a long, or perhaps short beak. I don't remember. I only remember what I felt at that moment as I looked at it. It was like watching an animal whose vitality was rendered more intense by the very fact of my watching it, and the animals not knowing that I was watching it. At that moment, I say, the notion of wildness entered my mind, never again to leave it. Everything is wild, which is autonomous and unpredictable, and does not depend upon us. Then all of a sudden, there was an explosion. I could no longer see the bird, and I thought it had flown away. But my father was leading the way, walking in front of me through the undergrowth. Finally, he stooped down, picked up something, and put it in my hand. I was aware of something warm and soft, and I lowered my eyes. There was a bird in the palm of my hand, its dangling, shattered head crowned with the plume of already thickening blood. I burst into tears and dropped the corpse on the ground, and that was the end of my shooting experience. I thought again of this remote episode of my life, this very day after watching my wife, for the first and also the last time, as she was walking through the streets of the city. But let us take things in order. What had my wife been like? What was she like now? She had once been, to put it briefly, wild. That is, entirely autonomous and unpredictable. Latterly, she had become tame. That is, predictable and independent. For a long time, she had been like the bird that, on that far-off morning of my childhood, I had seen perching on the bough. Latterly, I am sorry to say, she had become like a hen about which one knows everything in advance. How it moves, how it eats, how it lays eggs, how it sleeps, and so on. Nevertheless, I would not wish anyone to think that my wife's wildness consisted of an uncouth, rough, rebellious character. Apart from being extremely beautiful, she is the gentlest, politest, most discreet person in the world. Rather, her wildness consisted of the air of charming unpredictability, of independence in her way of living, with which during the first years of our marriage she acted in my presence, both at home and abroad. Wildness signified intimacy, privacy, secrecy. Yes, my wife, as she sat in front of her dressing table, her eyes fixed on the looking glass, passing the hairbrush with the repeated motion over her long, loose hair, was just as wild as a solitary quail hopping forward along a sun-filled furrow, where the furtive fox coming out into a clearing and stopping to look around before running on.
I learned about opening moves and why it is important to control the center early on. The shortest distance between 2 points is down the middle.
What is that sound you're making?
It's more realistic if I knock a piece off.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't think that one would do.
Oh, no, I don't think that.
This is loud, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna take my control.
That's checkmate.
Look at my daughter. She is chess champion. I taught her how to do everything. She is chess champion.
No! You're embarrassing me!
Wait, come back. Waverly.
In my head, I saw a chessboard with 64 black and white pieces. Opposite me was my opponent, 2 angry black slits. She wore a triumphant smile. Strongest wind cannot be seen, she said.
Awesome.
He's like, checkmate. Checkmate, suckers. Ah!
Did your husband, John Proctor, have an affair with Abigail Williams?
No,
Why did you dismiss her?
she was not doing well around the house anymore.
Why did she dissatisfy you? Goody Proctor, you have to respond. John Proctor, did you have an affair with Abigail Williams?
Yes, I had an affair with Abigail Williams. She was a young girl, a beautiful young girl, and Goody Proctor was not satisfying me. When I saw her there, I took her into my arms without thinking. I realized it was a mistake.
Sir, you do realize you have committed adultery.
Yes, I am fully aware, and I will accept the punishment fully. Will you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Asher Lev, and I'm a painter from a Hasidic Jewish family. Here's one of my delicate paintings. This one is a dog and a cat trying to help world peace. So I wrote peace in the middle, and you see how the tails connect in such a way. It's kind of like, it's symbolic because it's like we're all connected.
And what inspired you to create this piece?
Mainly is my dog from back where I used to live. It was after the war. I had this puppy, and yeah.
That's heart endearing. Let's move on.
And over here is my chicken. I drew a picture of a chicken because I was raised on a farm. Yeah, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, my whole life was on a farm, man. And that's one of my worst paintings. So here's one of my really good ones. This is very symbolic as well because it's just a tiny little boat trying me across the sea, and that's how my life was. I was that tiny boat just trying to find a place in my world. My dad was mean to me. My mom loved me, but she was just bed-sicking,
And if I'm not mistaken, your mother, she had problems after her brother died. Is that correct?
Yes, she was very depressed, as you would say. It was very sad to be around. She was always looking out the window for some reason. Like she was waiting for her brother to come home.
And that helped inspire this piece?
Yeah, this next piece.
This next piece?
This is a painting, and it's actually my mom on the cross.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
My parents don't really like this, but it's a good representation of my mother because she was always enduring such horrific pain. I can only show it with my painting, so.
Yes, I can really feel your pain in this painting.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, that was the interview with Asher Lev.
It's an honor.
Yeah, it was an honor to meet you too.
In walks three girls in nothing but bathing suits. I'm in the third checkout slot with my back to the door, so I don't see them until they're over by the bread. The one that caught my eye first was the one in the plaid green two-piece. She was a chunky kid, with a good tan and a sweet, broad, soft-looking can, with those 2% of white just under it, where the sun never seems to hit, at the top of the backs of her legs. I stood there with my hand on a box of hi-ho crackers, trying to remember if I rang it up or not. I ring it up again, and the customer starts giving me hell. She's one of these cash register watchers, a witch about 50 with rogue on her cheekbones and no eyebrows. And I know it made her day to trip me up. She'd been watching cash registers 40 years and probably never seen a mistake before. She had sort of oaky hair that the sun and salt had bleached, done up in a bun that was unraveling, and the kind of prim face. Walking into the A&P with your straps down, I suppose it's the only kind of face you can have. She held her head so high her neck, coming out of those white shoulders, looked kind of stretched, but I didn't mind. The longer her neck was, the more of her there was. She must have felt in the corner of her eye me and over my shoulder Stokesy in the second slot watching, but she didn't tip. Not this queen. She kept her eyes moving across the racks, and stopped, and turned so slow it made my stomach rub the inside of my apron, and buzzed to the other two, who kind of huddled against her for relief, and they all three of them went up the cat and dog food, breakfast cereal, macaroni, rice, raisins, seasonings, spreads, spaghetti, soft drinks, crackers, and cookies aisle. From the third slot, I looked straight up this aisle to the meat counter, and I watched them all the way. The fat one with the tan sort of fumbled with the cookies, but on second thought, she put the packages back. The sheep, pushing their carts down the aisle, the girls were walking against the usual traffic. Not that we have one-way signs or anything. We're pretty hilarious. You could see them, when Queenie's white shoulders dawned on them. Kind of jerk or hop or hiccup, but their eyes snapped back to their own baskets, and on they pushed. I bet you could set off dynamite in an A&P and the people would buy, and large keep reaching and checking oatmeal off their lists and muttering, "Let me see." There was a third thing. Began with an A. Asparagus. No. Ah, yes, applesauce. Or whatever it was they do mutter. But there was no doubt. This jiggled them. A few house slaves and pin curlers even looked around after pushing their carts past to make sure what they had seen was correct. Would you like me to get you some cheese? I haven't made any supper because it's Thursday.
No.
If you're too tired to eat out, it's still not too late. There's plenty of meat and stuff in the freezer, and you can eat it right here in the chair. Anyway, I'll give you some cheese and crackers first.
I don't want any.
But you must eat. I'll fix it anyway, and you can have it as you like.
Sit down. Just sit down for a moment. Listen, I got something to tell you.
What is it, darling? What's the matter?
This is going to be a bit of a shock to you, I'm afraid. But I thought about it a good deal, and I decided it's the only thing to do, and I must tell you right away. I hope you won't blame me for it. I want to get a divorce.
I'll get supper.
For God's sake, I don't want it. I'm going out to eat.
Here you all are, and good friends of dear Patrick's too, and helping to catch the man who killed him. You must be terribly hungry by now because it's long past your supper time, and I know Patrick would never forgive me, God bless his soul, if I allowed you to remain in his house without offering you decent hospitality. Why don't you eat up that lamb that's in the oven? It'll be cooked right just by now.
Wouldn't dream of it.
Please eat it. Personally, I couldn't tough a thing. Certainly not what's been in the house when you was here. But it's all for you. Do a favor for me if you would eat up. Then you can go on to your work afterwards. Ha 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 ha.